What is interesting when we think about life in the ancient Greek society, we have to consider that this type of life it was divided, for example, in the city states. And what were the city states? In particular, the city states were polis, were specific type of communities, independence between them. Therefore, each city state developed its type of specifically its type of independence. On the other hand, there is also the idea of politics and the idea of religion, because at the same time we know that the different type of city states develop a specific type of structure politically, because we know that from the 12th century BC there was a specific type of colonization. In particular, this type of colonization it was called as the first colonization of the Greeks, of the ancient Greeks, in particular in Asia Minor, in the south part of the Turkey, but also in the north part of the actual Turkey. We know that the ancient Greeks, founded the cities as, for example, Constantinople or Istanbul in this sense today, or Miletus or Ephesus, and a lot of other cities. But Greeks in the C7, 8, and 6th century BC founded also other cities, for example, in South Italy and in Sicily, in this sense. And this is really interesting because, in any case, Greeks develop a specific type of knowledge between the Mediterranean Sea, for example. And they understood, for example, that there were other cultures. For example, the Egyptians. We know, in this sense, that Herodotus developed his type of travels, journeys in his histories. Therefore, in any case, this is an exception. Also the history of Xenophon, the Anabasis of Xenophon, is a sort of exception. In fact, Xenophon, we know that in the end of 5th century BC, develop a specific type of support to the brother of the great king of Persia. And in this sense, because the brother of the great king of Persia of that period, of the end of the 5th century BC, wanted to take the power, to develop a specific type of civil war. But in the end, and the needed of some mercenaries to support his type of mission against the brother. But in this sense, in the end, he was killed during the battle, and we know that Xenophon wrote this type of book, the Anabasis, where he explained his type of return from the Turkey, or better, from the Asia Minor, in particular, that it was began the journey of Xenophon from the Turkey, but in the end he was in the middle of the Persian Empire in general, in sense, and this type of Anabasis explained his return in the territories of Greece. In this sense, we know that apart these two exceptions, on the one hand Herodotus, for example, and on the other hand Xenophon, we know that the Greeks were independent. Therefore, the idea of community, the idea of city-state, the idea that the ancient Greek society it was in relation with the idea of independence, in relation with the fact that the Greeks considered themselves as a specific type of city, that he didn't want to consider the possibility to connect culture with others. Cultures. This is really important. This is really important. In fact, Greeks between them considered themselves a city-state in front of another city-state. The city-state between them considered themselves a sort of strangers between them. Yeah, according to the idea that they had a specific type of the same religion, they had a specific type of the same pantheon for gods. They developed often a specific type of the same praise. They had specific type of the same sometimes the same holidays, for example the Olympic Games, but also the holidays changed in relation with the god that they celebrated. For example, in Athens it was celebrate Athena, and in Sparta it wasn't celebrate specifically Athena. This is interesting Because in any case, we know that Greeks, according to them, they consider themselves as strangers, but at the same time, the barbarians, or better, the people who lived outside the Greek city-states and they were in Greek, according to the Greek people, these people were barbarians. Or in other words, they were part of other type of cultures that weren't part of Greece. And according to the Greek people, these people of other culture, because of other cultures, they weren't as pure as Greeks culturally, and also technically in relation with reason, rational. Therefore, according to the Greeks' idea, there was a specific type of connection between religion and politics. On the one hand, we know that there were in ancient Greek society different types of city-states: Athens, Sparta, Corinth, Thebes, etc. These are examples of city-states, but also other city-states, Miletus, etc. Syracuse in in Sicily, Taranto in South Italy, etc. But at the same time, we know that each city-states technically, practically consider important a specific type of god and prayed for him and built some temples, but built also some sanctuaries. What is the main difference between them? There is the city-state, and into the city-state there are some temples for the statues of the gods and the goddesses. At the same time, the sanctuaries that were really important because defined the perimeters, the area of the city-state. Therefore, when a Greek saw a sanctuary, it means that probably near that sanctuary it was a city-state, another city-state, a city-state that developed, had a specific type of rules, had a specific type of his type of law, his type of specific rule of law. And this is really interesting. At the same time, we know that there is a connection between politics and religion, because the law, the rules were in relation with God, and you had to pray, and you had to believe in that God, because according to the Greek city-state, the Greek people, the god supported your community. The gods in relation with destiny, in relation with the theogony, because according to the Greek mythology, the gods of Olympus, the main gods, were birth, and at the same time they had a specific type of origin, but it's each of these gods has a specific type of main element that support the idea of life. Therefore, for example, for Poseidon, sea, Zeus, sky, Hades, the underworld, etc., and their science, etc. This is interesting because, therefore, the idea of sanctuaries, it was in relation with the idea of temple, it was in relation with the idea of era of city-state, with its type of rules, with its type of behaviors, with its type of normal activities that men and women had to do in relation, on the one hand, with politics, but to maintain the rule of the religion that the city-state considered. Therefore, you didn't violate the religion if you wanted to maintain the idea of politics of a city-state. In this sense, in fact, if you didn't believe in a god, you could consider a potential enemy of a city-state. In particular, if you didn't believe in the god of a city-state, you could consider a specific type of enemy of a city-state, or a specific type of man who wanted to develop or impose or develop a specific type of new gods, new religion into the city-state, and this was a sort of crime according to the ancient Greek idea. We know therefore that the idea of independence, it was in relation with the idea of religion, gods, which different type of activities, and at the same time, therefore, the idea of the law of the ancient Greek society, it was in relation with religion. Each idea, each movement, each behavior that the Greeks considered in relation with the idea of politics, it was important also in relation with the idea of religion, therefore the idea of impact of a god. At the same time, we know that the main critics of these gods, for example, the philosophers, in particular Plato and but also Aristotle, developed the idea that these gods of Olympus are not eternal, only are immortal because they had a specific type of origin. They had created from someone, but the gods, the mythology, the idea of metaphysics in the ancient Greek religion hadn't a specific type of eternal thing because everything is in the movement. But what is, according to Plato and Aristotle, in the movement is finite, is not infinite because it was created. But if the god A is in the movement, therefore there is someone else that had created A because A is in the movement. Therefore, also the main gods are created by someone else because they are in the movement and they are created by someone else. Because they are not in the sense eternal but only imperfect in relation with their fact. They are in the movement. Therefore, according to the idea of Plato and Aristotle, the main god, instead, on the contrary, criticized the idea of the ancient Greek people, mass, is that the main god is that god that it is outside the time and it created the time and assemble things. According to Plato, the name of this god is the demiurge. According to Aristotle, the main name of this god is the pure act. This is really interesting because, according to this type of philosophers, the idea of politics had to be reconsidered in relation with a specific type of monism, not just a polytheism. Bye.